15-month-old Lucas Murphy had managed to slip through a loose board in his family's backyard fence and was crawling toward busy Maple Street, where morning commuter traffic moved at 45 miles per hour, just 50 yards from his starting point. His mother was inside feeding his newborn sister and had no idea that her toddler had found an escape route that led directly toward one of the most dangerous roads in their suburban neighborhood. But Honey, the elderly golden retriever who lived next door with the Wilson family, spotted Lucas's dangerous journey and immediately understood that a baby was crawling towards certain death on a road where drivers wouldn't expect to see a small child. For the next 20 minutes, Honey used every method of communication at her disposal, barking, howling, running between houses, and refusing to be ignored, to alert multiple neighbors, drivers, and eventually Lucas's mother to the life-threatening emergency unfolding in broad daylight. Welcome to Saved by Tales. Before we dive into this heart-stopping story of canine communication, saving a life through pure determination, and a neighborhood dog's refusal to let tragedy happen on her watch, join our community of animal hero enthusiasts who understand that sometimes the most important neighborhood watch programs walk on four paws and never take a day off from protecting the innocent. Honey had been the unofficial guardian of Maple Street for 8 years, watching over children, alerting owners to dangers, and maintaining the kind of protective vigilance that made her beloved by every family in the neighborhood. The 11-year-old golden retriever belonged to retired couple Margaret and Frank Wilson, but her protective instincts extended to every child and vulnerable person within several blocks of her home. Honey knows every child in this neighborhood, Margaret often told friends. That dog has appointed herself as everyone's grandmother, and she takes the job very seriously. The Murphy family had moved to Maple Street 6 months earlier with their newborn daughter and 15-month-old Lucas, quickly becoming part of the close-knit community where neighbors looked out for each other and children played safely in fenced yards. Honey had immediately included the Murphy children in her protective oversight, positioning herself where she could observe their backyard activities. Honey watches our kids like they're her own, Jennifer Murphy often observed. She sits by our fence whenever Lucas is playing outside, like she's making sure he stays safe. The neighborhood's main concern was busy Maple Street itself, where commuter traffic created dangerous conditions for children or pets who might wander into the roadway. Multiple families had reinforced their fencing and implemented safety protocols to prevent accidental escapes toward the hazardous traffic. The Murphy family's backyard fence had been installed by the previous homeowners and appeared secure during their initial safety inspection, but winter weather and settling soil had loosened one section near the back corner where it connected to a utility easement. The gap was small enough to escape casual notice, but large enough for a determined toddler to squeeze through. Lucas had been playing in the backyard while Jennifer fed his baby sister inside the house, a routine that had worked safely for months since they moved to the neighborhood. The 15-month-old was an active explorer who loved investigating every corner of his environment, but he had never shown interest in the fence perimeter until that morning. Lucas loves being outside, Jennifer explained to neighbors. He's usually content to play with his toys in the grass or explore the garden areas where I can see him through the window. But toddlers were unpredictably curious, and Lucas's attention was captured by something he could see through the loose fence board, possibly a squirrel, or interesting movement that encouraged him to investigate further. His small size and determination allowed him to squeeze through the gap and emerge into the utility easement that led directly toward Maple Street. Honey spotted Lucas's escape within moments of his exit from the Murphy backyard, immediately recognizing the danger as the toddler began crawling toward the busy road that posed a lethal threat to anyone who entered the traffic pattern. Honey's response to Lucas's dangerous trajectory was immediate and systematic, drawing on years of protective experience and an understanding of neighborhood dangers that made her an effective early warning system for child safety emergencies. The golden retriever's first action was positioning herself between Lucas and the road, using her body as a gentle barrier to slow his progress toward the traffic, while simultaneously beginning her alert sequence to summon human help. "No, baby, no," Honey seemed to communicate through her positioning and gentle guidance, understanding that physical restraint of a curious toddler could cause panic or unpredictable movement that might increase the danger. Honey's barking pattern was immediate and distinctive, not the casual barking of a dog seeking attention, but the urgent rhythmic calls that neighbors had learned to recognize as emergency alerts. The Golden Retriever's reputation for protective vigilance meant that her distress calls carried immediate credibility with adults who heard them. Lucas was delighted to encounter his familiar friend during his adventure, showing no awareness of the danger he was approaching or understanding that Honey was trying to save his life through her protective intervention. Honey's emergency communication strategy involved multiple tactics designed to alert as many adults as possible to Lucas's dangerous situation. The Golden Retriever began running between houses, barking at windows and doors, trying to get attention from any neighbor who might be home during the morning hours. Her first stop was the Henderson house across the street, where she barked persistently at the front door and windows, until elderly Mr. Henderson came out to investigate the unusual behavior from the normally quiet dog. "What's wrong, Honey?" Bill Henderson asked, immediately recognizing that the Golden Retriever's behavior indicated something serious was happening in the neighborhood. Honey's response was to run back toward Lucas's location, while looking back to ensure that Mr. Henderson was following her alert. The dog's communication was clear and purposeful. Something was wrong and human intervention was needed immediately. Henderson saw Lucas crawling toward Maple Street with traffic approaching. He understood the crisis and immediately began his own emergency response, while Honey continued alerting other neighbors to expand the rescue effort. Honey's alerts quickly mobilized multiple neighbors into a coordinated emergency response, with the Golden Retriever serving as both alarm system and coordination center for the rescue effort that was developing to save Lucas from the approaching traffic. "There's a baby crawling toward the road," Mr. Henderson called to neighbors as he carefully approached Lucas to provide direct protection without frightening the toddler into unpredictable movement. Susan Martinez, who had been working in her garden, immediately responded to Honey's barking and Mr. Henderson's calls, positioning herself to help manage traffic while other neighbors approached Lucas from safe angles. "I'll stop traffic," Susan called as she moved toward Maple Street with her bright gardening vest to create a visible barrier that would alert approaching drivers to the emergency situation. Honey continued her alert barking while positioning herself protectively near Lucas, maintaining her role as his guardian until adult humans could take direct control of the rescue situation. Morning commuter traffic on Maple Street included vehicles traveling at 45 miles per hour, creating stopping distances that would make avoiding a small child extremely difficult if Lucas reached the roadway before drivers could react to his presence. The first driver to encounter Susan Martinez's traffic control efforts was Maria Rodriguez, who immediately understood the emergency when she saw the coordinated neighborhood response and the small child near the road's edge. "Oh my God, there's a baby," Maria exclaimed as she brought her car to a complete stop and activated her hazard lights to warn other drivers of the emergency ahead. Additional drivers quickly recognized the situation and created an impromptu safety barrier with their vehicles, transforming Maple Street into a protected zone where Lucas could be safely retrieved without risk from oncoming traffic. Honey's continued barking served as an audio alert that helped drivers understand the seriousness of the situation and the need for immediate caution in the area where the rescue was taking place. While neighbors coordinated Lucas's immediate safety, Honey's barking had also attracted Jennifer Murphy's attention inside the house, where she had been feeding the baby and assumed Lucas was safely playing in the backyard. "That's Honey barking," Jennifer realized, recognizing the Golden Retriever's voice and understanding that the dog's persistent calls usually meant something important was happening in the neighborhood. Jennifer's discovery that Lucas was missing from the backyard sent her into immediate panic, but Honey's continued barking provided an audio beacon that guided her toward the emergency scene where neighbors were already protecting her son. "Lucas, oh my God, Lucas," Jennifer cried as she ran toward Maple Street and saw the coordinated rescue effort that had developed around her escaped toddler. "He's safe," Mr. Henderson assured her as he carefully lifted Lucas away from the road's edge. Honey spotted him heading for the street and alerted all of us. "That dog saved his life. Lucas was safely retrieved from his dangerous adventure with no injuries other than scraped knees from crawling on pavement, but the potential tragedy had been averted entirely through Honey's quick recognition and effective communication of the emergency. "Honey, good dog Honey," Lucas babbled happily when he saw his canine protector, completely unaware of how close he had come to being killed by traffic that wouldn't have been able to stop in time. The toddler's reaction to his rescue was typical of his age: excitement at seeing familiar neighbors and confusion about why so many adults seemed concerned about his outdoor adventure. Lucas had no understanding of traffic danger or the life-threatening situation that Honey had prevented. "That dog is a hero," declared Susan Martinez as neighbors gathered to ensure Lucas was unharmed and to coordinate immediate fence repairs that would prevent future escapes. Jennifer's gratitude toward Honey was overwhelming and immediate, understanding that without the golden retriever's intervention, she would have lost her son to a preventable tragedy that developed in just minutes. The discovery of the loose fence board prompted immediate emergency repairs coordinated by multiple neighbors who understood that child safety required community-wide vigilance and proactive maintenance of safety barriers. "We can't let this happen again," Frank Wilson declared as he organized a neighborhood work party to inspect and repair all fencing that might pose escape risks for children. The fence repair became a community project that strengthened both physical safety measures and neighborhood relationships, with multiple families contributing time and materials to ensure that all yards were properly secured against curious toddlers. Honey supervised the entire repair process, positioning herself where she could observe the work and ensure that the safety improvements met her standards for protecting the children under her watch. Honey's successful alert campaign earned her recognition from grateful neighbors and local media who featured her story as an example of how community vigilance and animal intelligence could prevent tragedies through quick thinking and effective communication. "Honey represents the best of neighborhood watch programs," said Community Safety Coordinator Dr. Robert Kim during a ceremony honoring the heroic Golden Retriever. "Her protective instincts and communication skills saved a life through pure determination and love." The story was featured in local safety education programs and community newsletters, highlighting both the importance of secure fencing and the valuable role that alert neighborhood dogs could play in child protection. Lucas's near miss led to neighborhood-wide safety improvements that included enhanced fencing inspections, improved traffic calming measures on Maple Street, and formalized communication protocols for emergency situations involving children. "Honey's rescue taught us that child safety is everyone's responsibility," explained Neighborhood Association President Lisa Martinez. "We've implemented regular safety inspections and emergency response procedures that build on the foundation of caring that Honey demonstrated." The community also installed additional safety signage and speed control measures that would protect children and alert drivers to the residential nature of the area where families lived and played. Following Lucas's rescue, Honey's protective behavior toward neighborhood children became even more pronounced, with the Golden Retriever maintaining constant awareness of child activities and potential safety concerns throughout her territory. "Honey watches every child in this neighborhood like they're her own," observed Margaret Wilson. "She seems to understand that her alert saved Lucas's life, and she's even more vigilant now about protecting all the children." Lucas developed a special relationship with Honey following his rescue, often playing near the fence line where he could interact with the dog who had become his guardian angel and protector. Honey's story became part of community safety education programs that taught families about fence maintenance, toddler supervision, and the importance of listening to animal warnings about potential dangers. "Dogs like Honey can serve as early warning systems for child safety," explained child safety expert Dr. Amanda Foster. "Their protective instincts and ability to recognize danger often exceed human awareness, especially for threats that develop quickly." The case was featured in parenting resources and community safety materials throughout the region, helping other families understand both the risks and the protective resources available in neighborhoods with vigilant animal guardians. 5 years after Honey's life-saving alert campaign, the Golden Retriever continued her protective watch over Maple Street, though age had slowed her movements while sharpening her protective instincts toward the children who had grown up under her watchful care. "Honey saved my life when I was little," 6-year-old Lucas often told friends who visited the neighborhood. "She's the smartest, bravest dog in the world and she still watches over me every day." Their story continued to inspire community safety programs and demonstrate the remarkable protective potential of neighborhood dogs whose vigilance and communication skills could prevent tragedies when human supervision faced momentary lapses that children could exploit with dangerous consequences. Honey had proven that some neighborhood watch programs operated 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, powered by love, and and delivered through the kind of protective instinct that would never let harm come to the innocent while there was still breath left to sound the alarm. I still think about that suburban morning when a 15-month-old boy found a gap in his fence and began crawling toward commuter traffic that traveled fast enough to kill instantly, while his mother fed his baby sister inside and had no idea her toddler was seconds away from stepping into traffic. If Honey had been sleeping, if she'd dismissed Lucas's escape as harmless wandering, if she'd lacked the communication skills to mobilize an entire neighborhood in time to create a human barrier between baby and traffic, Lucas Murphy would have become another heartbreaking statistic of toddler accidents that happen faster than parents can prevent them. Honey's story teaches us something profound about the protective networks that exist in our communities when animals choose to extend their care beyond their own families to embrace every vulnerable life within their territory. This dog didn't just bark at danger, she orchestrated a neighborhood-wide emergency response using communication skills that transformed casual neighbors into a coordinated rescue team.